I've talked about this many times, but like in general, I've become like an old man where like anything that's older in general is better, and I actually think that's true. Like you don't get Jeff Bridges and big stars like Jeff Bridges and Tim Robbins acting in a thriller that's not based off existing IP that is politically, that has a lot of like trenchant political commentary these days. It just doesn't happen anymore. And so back then, Screen Gems could put out a movie like this, and we could enjoy it and have fun with it, and people could say, "Oh, that movie's only okay." But
nowadays, that would be an 8-episode series on Hulu.
Absolutely right.
Produced by M. Night Shyamalan or something.
Right. But anyway, back then it could come out as a movie, and people could see it and be like, "Ah, this is fine." But compared to most of the stuff that comes out today, it's actually very good in my opinion. And really, and Tim Robbins and Jeff Bridges are both wonderful.
What's the opposite of recency bias?
It's like nostalgia.
Yeah, nostalgia bias.
Anyway, So I had a great time with Arlington Road. I think it's really. Oh, I didn't even say what it's about. Basically, Jeff Bridges plays a professor, and Tim Robbins, Tim Robbins is his neighbor, and Tim Robbins and his wife Joan Cusack, they start like acting all shifty and sus, and Jeff Bridges.
Before sus was even a thing.
Before sus was even a thing, and Jeff Bridges is like, oh, these guys, like, they're probably terrorists or of some kind. They're probably homegrown terrorists of some kind. And the movie is about kind of him trying to unpack, like, trying to get to the bottom of what's going on. So, just a really well-done movie that, in my opinion, is still highly relevant in today's day and age. The movie's Arlington Road. A little bit tough to get access to on some of the streaming platforms. And if you try to buy
have to click through all the dialogue boxes saying why. Why do you want to watch Arlington? Are you sure?
And if you want to try to buy a Blu-ray of it, it costs I think $300 because they're no longer making them anymore. So fortunately, I purchased it a long time ago on digital. But anyway.
Did you guys hear what Drew McWeeny did, by the way, about his 80s server of every single movie made in the 80s? He now has on the Plex server.
He has on the Plex server every movie made in the 80s.
So that's gold.
He has approximately 1,000 times more movies from the 80s as Netflix does. Right now. So
we all aspire to that.
Absolutely. Okay, let's do another voicemail. This one comes in from Chris from Australia.
Hey, Filmcast. It's Chris here from Australia. I've been listening for years, but not decades, and I want to say thank you so much for your company and your advice, and to share a quick story about the worst experience I ever had with the Filmcast, which was that day that the little voice inside my head tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you what?" What? I said. You know what? It was the day that the little voice told me that I wasn't David, with his fantastic management of the entire show, his thoughtful comments, and the way he always comes back kind, even if the movie's terrible. And it wasn't Devendra, who's smart, does that other Cool Tech podcast, but that I was a Jeff. Jeff of the Limerick. Jeff of the insatiable appetite for sports documentaries. But that if Jeff said he cried at a film, or it really moved him, then I too would find the same. And coming to terms with that has truly been a difficult thing. Being a Jeff, it's not simple, it's not easy, but thank you, Jeff. You've given me some really good recommendations. Thank you to all three of you. Your weekly listening, and you make my commutes and the interstitial times so much better.
Yes, the day when Chris realized he was Jeff. Truly a dark day.
Time.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Take it from the original Jeff. It ain't easy.
I do think that that's one of the things about podcasts that is kind of special is something we hear a lot from people is, oh, I know, I'm relating most to Devendra. I'm relating most to Jeff. Very few people relate most to Dave Taylor. That's something we'll have to work on. But is that you can kind of have this connection of like, oh, that person is kind of the avatar for my interests and passions, right, and my takes. It's something that you. I'm curious, like, do you guys have a person on another podcast?
Weirdly, I'm a Devendra.
Funny how that works out.
That makes no sense. Yeah, I'm curious, like, do you have another podcast that you listen to where, like, somebody represents your opinions?
Kind of hard to think.
Because I don't, I couldn't really come up with it. You know, I think that's a sign that we're all true originals, is really...
That's how it goes. Well, I listen to a few video game podcasts, and Jeff, I think I tend to align with you often with that, and also your other co-host, Dave, Patrick Lepic. I think, thoughts tend to align when it comes to games.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have a favorite sports podcast that I listen to, football specifically, not just sports, but football's podcast, and I definitely feel like my voice is one of the hosts more than the others, but and that's a joy. That's a joy of I think that is that parasocial relationship that one gets into with that long-running, listenership. And I love it, and I love that folks have that with us, and it's an honor to know that people align with me or either one of you in any given time, and that we can sort of help them through the navigation of what to watch and when to watch it. I think it's great. It's an honor.
Absolutely. Thanks for that voicemail. Let's take another break for a sponsor. We'll be back with more what we've been watching right after this.
Suomen historian suurin joululahjakampanja on Keskisen kyläkaupan. Joululahjoja on jaossa ilmaiseksi yli 100 miljoonan euron arvosta. Voit lunastaa joululahjasi Kela-kortilla kyläkaupan infosta ennen vuodenvaihtoa. Tee siis kyläkauppaan päivän tai pari piristävä miljoona. Kaikki kerralla pukikottiin Suomen suurimmasta joululahjavalikoimasta. Lisätietoja tuuri.fi.
Asiakkaiden Black Week yliopiston apteekissa. Kaikki tuotteet vähintään 25 ja jopa 50% alennuksella. Tarjous ei koske lääkkeitä. Katso ehdot YA.fi. Tervetuloa ostoksille yliopiston apteekkiin ja YA.fi.
Hit us up with something else you
I had a chance to see a new musical biopic called Better Man.
Yes. Very excited about this.
I thought this was going to be about Pearl Jam. But no, sadly not. It isn't. Actually, you may have heard about this. Have either of you seen Better Man yet?
Have not
We
seen
talked
Better
about
Man
it
yet.
briefly. Okay.
Okay. Better Man
Talk about the
is
concept.
about a musical artist that I had zero knowledge of.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
This is about Robbie Williams.